Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So, as always, I'm going to give it the good, the bad, and the furry. The furry, nothing notable. Alright, moving on to the good and bad. So, this movie, if you've been asleep for the past few years, Chadwick Boseman, aka the original Black Panther, died, and they elected to not, either CGI his whole body and face throughout the whole movie or recast him. So they start this movie by oh hey, he's dying, we're trying to save him. And then they fail. And then 1 year later. And so they're just kind of like a nation that's still kind of wavering on we're unstable without our Black Panther, without our king, without our protector. So I thought that they handled that well. The Chadwick Boseman death, I thought that the story reasons behind it, they did well. They said that it was, they didn't say cancer, but it was a disease and we weren't able to cure it. What could that be? Which is the thing that got Chadwick Boseman, which sucks because he was awesome. Miss him. But, so, I really liked this movie. Well, I liked this movie. I wouldn't say I really liked this movie. I liked it because the actors were awesome in it, as usual. It had enough of the Marvel quips, and they did it in a way that made sense for the Wakandans. So I liked that. It had the levity there, and I liked the overall storyline. I thought made a lot of sense. So I appreciated the general storyline, the general plot line, and the interactions with the different characters and the motivations behind things and how they executed it. So overall, I would say all of that was really well done. My main problem with this movie was the action. So, like I said, the plot, if you just go with the plot, all of that made sense. But the problem was that every single instance of action taking place was dumb and had a very poor excuse for occurring. It's like the Wakandans forgot how to Wakandan. Okay? So if you remember I think it was in Black Panther 1, or it might have been in one of the Avengers ones, but basically the Wakandans had this super awesome, super armored, I think it was vibranium car that could be remotely piloted from fucking Africa, and it was just this super awesome chase sequence, right? With this amazing car that was nearly indestructible. And in this one, they were like, hey, that really amazing indestructible car? Cool. We're going to leave it just outside, our remotely pilotable car of amazingness. We're going to leave it just outside, go inside, and then we're going to see just regular ass cops coming and be like, oh no, quick, get your hover suit and we're going to start this classic American car and motorbike, dirt bike, and we're going to run on that, and we're going to run away that way. You have an indestructible car that you can remotely pilot into the building, and it's just the whole reason for that sequence happening was just stupid, because they could have just gotten in their car and been like, see ya, bitches, and then just drove off. And then, oh, by the way, in this movie, the cops apparently forgot how to drive. I thought we were over this 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, where the cops go 100 miles an hour and then just oh no, I didn't see that my buddy is coming from the other direction because the other car turned, or oh no, I'm reversing, oh I didn't see, oh, and then just the number of ways that they got by and passed and around the cops, by the cops crashing into each other horrendously at ridiculous speeds. It's dude, they don't generally do that, right? I get they really want you, but come on now, be a little bit more realistic. I will say that one of the times there was two Wakandan aircraft that crashed into each other. I will give them credit that they crashed into each other and didn't boom, from the 1980s, because these things are made of Wakanda technology, so just crashing into each other shouldn't make them explode. But then later, one kind of in the background crashes into something and explodes. So I'm just you win some, you lose some. But basically, every instance of action in this didn't make any sense to me because previously seen Wakandan technology and implementation of that technology would have prevented that action sequence from taking place. So they have like force fields and shit. They have like things that can lift things up, and they have spears that maybe I'm just fucking crazy, but I seem to recall them having spears that could fire things, right? Like pew pew, like they have energy pewing that can take place with the spears. And it's like they were like, hey guys, we had a manufacturing recall on all of those spears, so here is non-firing spears, so that you can go against the Atlanteans, or whatever they renamed it so they couldn't get confused with DC. The Atlanteans, okay? So, and then, okay, just, again, overall, good movie, but action sucked. So I'm going to kind of get into a little bit of spoiler territory here. I'm going to try and stay away from, like, plot points specifically, but a little bit of spoiler for the action things. So, for example, Namor, whatever, the bad guy, their only explanation for him being able to fly is little tiny mercury wings on his feet. Like, that's it. That's their explanation for him flying. And if he could fly like Superman, the flying that he did, like the super acrobatic and fast and zipping around and like pointing with his body and whatnot, if you had that, like if you had the Superman style flying, I would be like, okay, that makes sense. Or like Vision, how he can just fucking fly. Like, sure, I buy that. But they specifically made it so that his feet wings, buzzy though they may be, were the reason that he was flying. And I don't buy the level of acrobatics that he had because of that. And you have this amazing Wakandan technology, and yet Buzzy B. Tuna here was able to buzz around and never get hit by one of their firings. And they have all of this technology and somehow aren't able to shoot anything at any of his people that are attacking. It was just dumb. And then they're like, you remember, spoiler for last season of Game of Thrones, action, not plot, but just action. You remember how in the last season of Game of Thrones, they're like, oh hey, everything went dark, so we're going to send out all of our men from this fort and send them rushing into the darkness, and once those guys are dead, we're going to keep our other guys still on the outside of the fortress to then get slaughtered, and then bring back a last couple ones, and then have them like try and defend the fortress. Like, you realize how stupid that is? So Wakandans were like, hey, we can be just as dumb. We're going to fight the water people in the water on a very top-heavy, like, not like a shallow basin thing, but a very vertical thing, so that when inevitably they manage to fuck up whatever thing is keeping it upright, then, oh no, it starts to tip, and oh gosh, oh, and like, you're fighting water people in the water on a tall-ass fucking ship. Like, what did you think was going to happen? And you didn't bring any pew-pew things? Like, come on, man. You used more stuff against yourselves when you were fighting amongst each other, and then when you were fighting Thanos' horde. Like, you have such amazing technology. And oh, by the way, the first time that Namor shows up, like, they had to fucking establish that the other people had nothing on them. Because, like, the mom, or the queen, and her daughter, were like, she's like, hey, come, we need to have a talk, and you can leave your beads here. No, including your earring beads. Like, just leave all of your beads here. Like, that would be like, if you're going somewhere, you're like, hey, just leave your license here. No, like, you're not going to be driving. I'm going to be driving, so just leave your license here. I'm going to be driving. And then, oh no, I'm drunk now. Now you need to drive. But oh no, you don't have your license. Oh no. So it's like they really had to specify, like, leave all of your beads here for bullshit reasons, so that when Namor comes, there's some level of threat to him because we don't have our magic beads. Like, come on, man. They're tiny fucking beads. There would be no reason to specifically be like, just leave them here. You can be like, hey, turn them off. But just have them. It's beads. It's like when you establish that Black Panther's suit of impenetrability can be stored in a fucking necklace, and you're like, nah. Nobody else needs that. Nobody else needs any type of, nanotechnology that's that compact and with that level of protection. Nobody needs that. Nope. We definitely have different suits for him, so, they're available without even having to do much reprogramming, but no. Nobody needs anything, so yeah, sure. Like, come on, man, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, and even when they're attacking the city initially, it's like, bro, they're people. They don't even have armor on. These people are not a threat. You can shoot them. You can blast. Like, you have so many people and so many things that would make this not a threat. If you can stand up against Thanos' fucking horde and the children of Thanos or whatever, like, you can stand up against these 5 dudes. The other thing that I think they could have done better is, based on the number of people in Not Atlantis that they showed, I think they were intending to show, like, oh, look, it's a thriving society. But when they were doing the establishing stuff in, like, 1571 or whatever, of, like, oh, his village, it really only focused on, like, 5 people, like the lieutenants. So it kind of seemed like to me that only the lieutenants, you get spoilers for how they got their powers, but only the lieutenants ate from drank the potion from the underwater flower. Like, it really seemed like only they drank it, so you have 5 people, which is not enough to create a thriving, genetically diverse society in a couple hundred years. It just doesn't work like that. So it would have had to have many more villagers, but it just, with how much they just focused on them in the entire, like, 1571 to 1871 or however long that time period was, that whole background sequence, they only showed those lieutenants. So it's very hard to be like, so I guess I'm just supposed to assume other villagers were given that thing and decided to go underwater. And then the other thing was that, like, the entire garment setup, like what they traditionally wore in Not Atlantis, I don't think that is what the fashion would be in an underwater city, because of just how currents flow and just them floating there or whatever else, like how the garments were made, I feel like would cause a lot of, like, skirts lifting up and shirts flowing over faces or whatever. Like, I don't think that the garments that were chosen made sense for the environment they were in. That's just me saying. That's just me talking. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm crazy. What do you think? And then the other thing was that I don't know if they just really didn't want to get confused with Avatar blue people, and also because Avatar Way of the Water or Life of the Water or whatever water thing is coming out this December, that they really just didn't want to get confused with that, or what. But I really didn't buy that underwater these people were various shades of human colors. And then as soon as they get out of the water, blue. Like, immediately blue. I just didn't buy it. I don't feel like they gave a reasonable explanation for why human colors, blue colors. Like, I don't get it. Not buying it. So, yeah. Didn't like that. I think that they could have done better. But, again, overall, the plot and why things were occurring, that made sense. Other than the fact that you have it's like in Resident Evil, the movies, which hopefully you've seen those, whatever. In the Resident Evil movies, how they gave Alice, like, super awesome telekinetic powers, and so she was just like an uber badass. And then at the very start of the next movie, like, Wesker comes up behind her and, like, injects her with something, and it's like, haha, I've taken all those away. It's like they did that with the Wakandans. It's like they established that, hey, Tony, you know all that awesome stuff you got? Well, we got fucking Wakanda, and they got better shit than you, so catch up, bro. And, like, Shuri, she's like, oh, well, why didn't you just multi-parallel the whatever for when you were making Vision? And super awesome Bruce scientist was like, oh, I didn't think of that. That's good thinking. Like, okay, and then they're just like, now they're dumb and they don't know about any of the technology. They just don't use any of it. It's stupid. It doesn't work. And speaking of Shuri, so she's the, like, super awesome tech person that's designing all these suits, designing the Black Panther thing, doing all these special things, and they even show her, like, trying to cure whatever Black Panther's disease was. So she can clearly do technology things, and apparently DNA things, and yet when it comes to, like, oh, we need to find a way to, like, find a metal detector but for vibranium, she's like, oh, I don't know how to do that. So they brought in some, like, Wonder Kid. And I'm fine bringing in a Wonder Kid, but don't have Shuri be stupid at that point. And I feel like you did have Shuri be kind of stupid. Especially because later on, you show her like working the DNA of the flower to like recreate the flower. So like she has tech smarts and suit building smarts and DNA recombinating smarts, but you still need random chick who I built my own Iron Man suit in the garage. You need her to solve whatever thing you can't. Like, come on, bro. Come on. Come on. Shuri's a badass. She doesn't need that. And like, see, again, Wakanda's forgetting to Wakanda, and there's a time where like, you know, Shuri, she comes out and she's fighting the bad guys from whatever previous Black Panther movie or Avengers movie, and she's got the two like super pusher things on her hands, like the and she just fucking forgets about those when Namor is like hovering over her, gloating as he's like stabbing into her aircraft. Like she could just pew 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 him if she had just bothered to remember that those existed. So that's kind of my main problem. All right, I think I've harped on that enough. Go see the movie. CGI is fine. If you just ignore Namor being able to fly super agilely with wing feet, and the why of the action is happening is dumb, but the overall like CGI elements of the action, like there wasn't any bad CGI in it. The music was fine. Like I said, I enjoyed the plot lines. I enjoyed the acting. I liked the leader of the northern tribe. I really liked that they gave him more time to shine. I hope to see more of him. You know, if he didn't die in this movie, no spoilers. And yeah, so overall, I'd say go check it out. Thumbs up. That's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.